In one of my campaigns in high school, the city of Belburn had recently been attacked by an army of hobgoblins. A group of player characters had been hired by the Guild of Dungeoneering to go assassinate a hobgoblin wizard that was in a fort to the north of the city, and it didn't go too great. The job started off simple enough, with the party sneaking up towards the fort in the night and stealthily taking out some of the guards in the watchtowers. However, while the party was sneaking across the courtyard in the middle of the fort, a hobgoblin spotted them and alerted the entire camp. This started a huge combat involving over 13 hobgoblin soldiers as well as the hobgoblin wizard. It was a tough fight, and after a few rounds it looked like the party was winning, but then the hobgoblin wizard cast Fireball on one of the party members and almost instantly killed him due to a very lucky damage roll. The wizard then fled into an underground food storage room because he saw that the hobgoblins were losing the fight. "I think we should take a rest here." Why the hell would we do that? The wizard is right down there. Why would we give him time to prepare or escape? "Well, I got stabbed a few times, and if we just take a breather for like 30 minutes, I'll be back and ready to go down there and stab him." Fine, but when he escapes out through a secret tunnel under the fort, it's your fault. After the party finished their rest, they took down the barricades on the hatch and descended down into the storage room. But they decided that the best way to fight a wizard who knows the fireball spell was to bunch up right next to each other. They got to the bottom of the stairs and opened up the door to the storage room. They saw the wizard in the back corner of the room, and everyone rolled for initiative. The hobgoblin got super lucky and ended up getting first in initiative, and he cast Ice Storm on the party, which is a spell that dealt a ton of damage as well as slowed the entire party. This single spell downed 2 of the party members and heavily injured the other 3. During the players' turns, they were barely able to move because of the Ice Storm, and when the hobgoblin's turn came back around, he cast Fireball on the party. This killed the 2 downed players, killed one of the players who was still up, and downed the other 2 party members. I was sitting there thinking that this was going to be my first total party kill, when suddenly one of the downed characters used a special ability to get back up with 1 hit point, and just ran out the fort back to the city, alone. The other downed player character, Uriel the human bard, woke up as a prisoner in a hobgoblin castle on a mountain a few days later. He worked together with a goblin swashbuckler and a halfling tinkerer to break out of the prison, and then he returned to the city. A few weeks later, another group of player characters wanted to go to the north and try to find where the hobgoblins' main base was. They started to climb up the mountain, but one night while they were sleeping they got ambushed by hobgoblin archers who were firing down at them with bows from the cliffside next to them. The party retreated back to the city, but one of them died in the process. "We should go back up there and take them down." We almost died from a hobgoblin scouting party. How the hell can we fight their entire base up there? "We've made it through worse odds. Don't you remember that orc raid where we had to use cunning and stealth to steal the magic item?" I'm not really sure I'd call that worse odds. There was like 7 orcs there. We probably could have killed them if we had gotten into a fight. Eventually, the Purple Cloak managed to convince Uriel to go back to the Hobgoblin Castle, and once the dead player made his new character, the party went back up the mountain, where they found a large set of stone doors that had the Hobgoblin's sigil carved into it. They pulled a lever next to the doors and they swung open, revealing a small hallway with a bunch of arrow slits on the walls before there was another door at the far end. I walk into the room. Hold on a minute, we should talk about this first. This looks super suspicious. Nope, I walk inside. Initially, I was planning on having the hobgoblins close the exit door and start shooting the party through the arrow holes from the other side of the wall until they were all dead, like the hobgoblins actually would do in this situation. But this campaign had been incredibly lethal so far, so I decided not to do that. Instead, the hobgoblins shouted, "What is your business here?" We have come to trade. I decided that the hobgoblins would try to make a deal with the party to get the players to bring them steel, then the hobgoblins would betray them and kill the party and keep the steel. The players, however, believed that they had worked out a deal where the hobgoblins will give the city bronze, meanwhile the city will give the hobgoblins steel. The party was asked to bring up a sample before the deal began to ensure that the steel was good, or at least that was what they were told by the hobgoblins. I was thinking, oh, this will be a cool encounter where the party brings up a small amount of steel, then the hobgoblins will attack and the party will retreat because they'll know that they can't fight an entire castle full of hobgoblins. And oh boy, was I wrong! When the party returned to the city, they went down to the mines to buy some steel. So why exactly do you suddenly want to buy over 1,000 gold pieces worth of steel? Well, you see, we're gonna give it to the hobgoblins to the north in exchange for some bronze. The same hobgoblins that attacked this very city a few weeks ago? Yep. The same hobgoblins that would have killed every single one of us when they only had iron gear, and the only reason we survived was because an orc warband was nearby and they really hate hobgoblins? The very same. They sound like fantastic trade partners. Here is the steel that you requested. Meanwhile, I was just sitting there thinking about how they are about to lose all of their money because of this, and I was trying to figure out what the hell I should do to prevent this from turning out absolutely terribly. The party took their carts up the mountain towards the hobgoblin castle. The hobgoblins led them deep into the castle until they were in the throne room, where they didn't see the hobgoblin king, but they did notice multiple, very well-armored guards standing near the large door they had just entered through. And also, I started to play extremely ominous music. For some reason, the players still didn't think anything was off about this whole deal. In an extremely shocking turn of events, the hobgoblins attacked the party. After a few turns of the combat, it was not looking good for the party, but they refused to leave without their carts full of steel, and they weren't going to be able to flee from the combat while dragging multiple large carts full of steel with them. I really didn't want this to turn into a total party kill, so I decided that the swashbuckler that broke out of the prison with Uriel was somewhere in the castle as well, and the party sees alchemist fire start to pour into the room they were currently in. Run! The party finally decided to abandon their steel and they fled the castle, fighting off hobgoblins while trying to get out before the alchemist fire detonated. They barely managed to escape and they retreated back to town to get ready for their next adventure.